Today's show brought to you in part by GoToMeeting. For a free 30-day trial, use code podcast at gotomeeting.com.
How safe are you with a surge protector? Find out on Gadgetplex.
Hey, welcome to Gadgetplex. We're talking electricity, most specifically surge protection and the role that it can play in your RV. The host here today, as most days, Philip May from Techno RV here on Gadgetplex. Phil, surge protection, I can go to a local Radio Shack. I can buy a power strip that has surge protectors built into it. And then now you've come in here with a table full of surge protectors. What are we trying to solve here?
Right, well, the problem we're trying to solve is, a surge is basically a very short, it can be, milliseconds or even microseconds of high voltage. So that's typically could be caused by a lightning strike, heavy equipment switching on the line. It could even be somebody's air conditioner switching on and off. And that high voltage is generally above 300 volts. And so that's what we were trying to protect.
So if you are in a campground situation, is that more likely or less likely to be a surge unfriendly environment?
It depends a lot where you are. People tell me from lightning strikes, Florida is one of the is the place.
Florida's king.
So if you're going to hang out in Florida, it's definitely something you want to think about. Also, a lot of campsites are older, and so their wiring can get very problematic just through the ravages of time. Plus the fact when they were designed a long time ago, they didn't expect or imagine that we would have these huge big rigs with pulling 50 amps. They were designed for much smaller pop-ups.
Right.
Pulling only
and of course at that time electronics were based on vacuum tubes, which are that technology much less sensitive to these sorts of effects. But chips, different story.
Yes. Or chips need a very smooth power source, and if you exceed the tolerances, that could cause problems or even potentially damage and ruin things like satellite receivers, DVD players, flat screen TVs, and anything with any significant amount of electronics in it could be damaged.
Right. Now, if you have like a laptop that has its own battery, there may be a little protection there, but still, you don't want to run that risk.
Right. That's true. Laptops are good because they have their own little battery power source, which just because the battery is in the circuit, it tends to smooth things out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I was serious. I was talking about you can go to any hardware store and you have a power strip, and then you have a surge protector power strip, and there actually is a device in there that's going to do something.
Right.
So you just buy a lot of those, right?
Right. Well, what you really need is something a bit more beastie than that.
That would fit in the beast category. Let's turn over and look on the close-up cam here.
So this is the Profressive electrical protection. This is the ones we carry. Progressive is a company, they're an American company, and what you would do is plug this at the top here into the post, and then plug your 30 or 50 amp plug from the RV into the front of here. Inside of this unit is a set of what are called MOVs, metal oxide varistors. Basically, there's just a chip that will sense a high voltage, and if the voltage comes there like a spike, it'll short it through to ground and protect it from going through into your RV. So a unit like this will provide a good degree of protection from surges.
Is the biggest hazard over voltage, or is it, in particular in older parks, is it the voltage starting to sag a little bit?
That's a good question, Andy. So many people say, oh, I'm going to be protected, I'm going to get a surge protector. More equipment is damaged by under voltage than by surges or lightning strikes and things. And like you say, the reason is these campsites are old, the wiring is substandard, and so as you pull more current, what happens, as you pull more current, there's a voltage drop over the line, and so the actual number of volts that you're getting isn't 120 volts, which it should be. It can go down to 110, 105, sometimes even less than 100. And as soon as that happens, it's sort of out of spec for a lot of your equipment in the RV. So anything with a motor, like a refrigerator, an air conditioner, or other types of equipment with those motors can burn out. And so you may not know the reason that they burned out, but
now I'm thinking of blenders. You know, I mean, that's a very important. You want to make sure that you got exactly.
Hey, if you lose those, you're in a world of hurt.
Exactly. Now there are other things as far as opens and shorts that we talked about in other episodes. If you are trying to figure out if you have a problem, what's an inexpensive way to kind of get in the ballpark?
So there's a number of different things that you can do. It's just like anything. Being aware is the first thing. There are little small circuit testers that you can buy from Lowe's, which are $10, $15, and you plug those in, and they'll give you sort of a series of lights to say, is it an open ground, open neutral, is it safe to plug in? The progressive unit here that I showed is just like a bigger version of that with the built-in surge. You can also buy voltmeters that you can plug in, which will tell you sort of, is it high voltage, low voltage? Problem with those is, even if you test before you hook up, the next day it gets hotter, everybody turns on their air conditioner, so the voltage starts changing over time. And if you leave your rig plugged in like you do, maybe you're out for the day, it could be at risk while you're
gone.
Right.
And just because it measures at 10 o'clock in the morning at 2 in the afternoon, it might be radically
completely different. So
different situation.
So what we recommend is something which does the whole thing. And if we can see on the
close-up
camera here, this is the Progressive EMS. It's an electrical management system.
All right. So what am I pointing to right here?
Those are the MOVs, the metal oxide varistors. That board there is the surge protector board.
That's this board right here.
Right. And the nice thing about the Progressive is if it takes a hit and these get damaged.
They're like fuses.
Like fuses,
they're gone. They're history.
Not all systems will warn you. The Progressive will warn you. You call up Progressive, and then this board itself, I don't know if you can see that, will just actually just slide out.
Slides right out.
And they'll send you a new one free of charge, which is very, very good. The other key component to this is here, where I'm pointing, perhaps you can point with the pen.
Down here.
That's the logic board, and that's like a little mini computer. And what that does is, that senses the electricity that's coming in from this side, and only when it determines that it's the right voltage and the right frequency and so on, will it actually instruct the contactor here, which is like an electronic switch, to throw.
This is making the actual connection.
That makes the connection. You can think of this as a big switch.
And this is measuring then.
Yes.
And it continuously measures.
Yep, that's a good point. It continuously measures. So even if there's a problem, it's going to disconnect you, but then continue monitoring it. So again, if you're out and maybe you've left your pet inside, it's not just going to, turn it off and then, it's going to get warm inside. It's going to reset, and the air conditioner will turn back on again, and Fido's not going to get too hot.
Right. Which can be a real, serious problem.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, obviously, it's kind of one of these. You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So these things are not inexpensive.
Correct.
What are the price ranges that we're talking about here?
So, the super cheap end, you've got the little plugins at 10 or $15. The surge protectors are around $100. The fully functioning EMS that we showed, that's anywhere from $250 to $400. And, you can either have portable versions or hardwired, which need installation. But, all of those costs, I think, although it's not insignificant, they're small compared to the damage that can be done. If you have accidental 240 volts coming in, which can happen, we've met numerous people in our booths who've told us that story, anywhere from 10 to 15, in fact one was $17,000 worth of damage. It fries literally everything that's plugged in, all of the wiring, the entire wiring.
Now was that something that that they detected, they plugged it in and there was a big puff of smoke and they realized they had a problem, or was that kind of like a failure that could occur while they were at the campground?
No, that was literally, you plug it in, as soon as you throw that breaker, bang.
Okay. So what would have happened here? That the logic board would have measured that.
Right. This is designed to withstand 240 volts, obviously, and so what it would do is, in those first 15 seconds that it's measuring the voltage, it would say, hey, I've got an error condition, and on the front of the board, it actually goes through with all these different error codes. So this lists the error codes, and you can see E0 is normal, E2 is open ground, and then you've got E4 is low voltage, and the one we were just talking about is high voltage, which would be E5.
Okay, so it takes 15 seconds to measure, and it's $10,000. That'd be $40,000 a minute. That's
Right,
pretty
not
good
bad.
hourly rate.
I wouldn't in that. That would be fine by my book.
It is indeed. Hey, you can learn more about power protections and surge protection, progressive surge controllers, and electrical management systems, right?
Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is. Electrical management systems at Techno RV. You can also check things out at the Pinterest board for RVNN TV. And the reason is that every one of our shows has its own board. And so Phil has all sorts of different topics and devices where there are photographs that lead to additional links and information. Also, please, if you want to send a message or a comment, just use your Twitter account and use the hashtag GPLX for Gadgetplex, or you can send an email to technorv@rvnn.com. Don't forget to check us out on Google+, on Facebook. I think I've gone through the list, and Boxee, and of course on Roku. Anyway, thanks for joining us here on Gadgetplex. Tell your friends, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Hey, Gabe, want to go for a walk? Gabe? Gabe? Gabe?
Hey, buddy, you lost? Hold on.
If your pet is the adventuresome type, be sure he's connected to PetHub. A quick scan using any smartphone shares your pet's vital information, so that even his wildest escapades have a happy ending. PetHub, reuniting pets with their families.
Come on, Gabe, let's go home.